Hello everybody, welcome to another BleachTYBW update video. Today's video is the December 2024 update, and today we are going over the update for the Quincy. Quite expansive Quincy update to Feats, class, their armament abilities, and so on. Now, unfortunately, as per the normal roadmap that I have established of what updates are coming out, I was also supposed to get to the Shrift update and some other updates, but the wrong car, I believe, was also part of this. Unfortunately, it took me quite a while to really work on the Quincy class update. I spent a lot of time on it because I was really back and forth and trying to figure out wording on some stuff. So unfortunately, that will not be part of this update. Same thing with the innate abilities for the new for the new bow abilities. I couldn't finish. Well, I did finish those, but not into the book. So they're getting added into the hotfix, and the new Shrift, which we'll go over later on, that also will be getting added into the hotfix because didn't forgot to add it. I thought I added it in, but I didn't. So those are done. But a bunch of other stuff that were normally on the roadmap, I couldn't get to them because I was just too much time. The Quincy update took too much time, unfortunately. But let's go over the changelog for today's update. First one, added clarification when armament abilities are active and updated components section. New Quincy feat classifications, updated Quincy feats, updated Quincy class, new and updated Quincy traditions, updated Heilig Bogen, renamed bow attributes to Heilig Pfeil, new and updated Heilig abilities, new weapon properties, fixed hollow ability Relentless, and change Fullbringer Manfestation distribution. So let's move on and go through these updates one at a time. First update is the clarification when armament abilities are active and components. So if we go down, I have a new section here called release. Now, I've added this here because I've gotten a lot of questions and seen a lot of questions from people wondering what release means, when can you release, so on, and a bunch of questions that are very obvious for people who have seen the show or read the manga. They know what that means. So I've had to add this in here for those that aren't familiar with Bleach. So it makes it a little bit more sense when it comes to activating abilities and becoming released. So let's read through it. To benefit from or activate any armament abilities, you must first release your armament. Your armament will state what action and cost it takes to release and how long you stay released. The only abilities you benefit from while not released are innate abilities and any other ability that states so. Of course, there might be some abilities, innate abilities that might state you could do this or that happens if you're released. So it'll tell you. But as a general rule, this is when you can use innate abilities, even if you're sealed. And then we go down to components. Just like spells, armament abilities require components. Most abilities require a new component marked with a W. This notates that you must be released to activate the ability. If an ability with a casting time lacks the W component, you may use it while sealed. So hopefully that kind of clears up when things are able to be used. I know there's going to be some passives that might not have a W on there, so we're going to ask, well, when can we use those? Well, like it states here, to benefit from or activate any armament abilities, you must first release your armament. Now, what does it mean when some of the passives, like the abilities where you can pick up new innate abilities? Well, because it's not an innate ability that you picked up, it's just one you pick up from another ability. You only have access to it while released. So like I said, hopefully that's all cleared up. Everything else kind of stayed the same. I updated maybe some wording on it to make it a little bit more clear. But yeah, that's everything is basically the same here. Those were just the new clarifications that were added. So hopefully that answers and takes care of any kind of questions in regards to release, components, when things are active, and so on and so forth. Hopefully all that information is now clear. If not, feel free to let me know and I can add any more clarification that is not obvious. I will add it in. So let me know in the comments below. But let's move on to the next one. Second update is to the feats. Now you can see on the right here, you get a little sneak peek of what we're going to talk about. But let's scroll down to this section here, new feat types. So I've made a new little section for all the new feat categorizations. So you can see Hakura. Here's all the Hakura feats, Ho-Ho, Kido, Zanjutsu, and then we have Quincy. So these are just from the base 5E feats that are classified as it. As you can see, anything in this book are just like new feats specific to this book, but all the other feats here are from other 5E sources. So the new feats classified as Quincy are Alert, Crossbow Expert, Defensive Duelist, Fighting Initiate, Archery or Dueling, Keen Mind, Piercer, Sharpshooter, and Slasher. So those are feats now classified as Quincy feats. So when anything tells you you can pick up a Quincy feat, you can pick up one of these that are listed here. But let's move on as well to the new updated Quincy feats. There's quite a few of them. Biggest one is going to be these two: Blue Arteria, Blue Vein, Blue Arteria on Haben and Blue Rainus. So what Blue Rainus reads now is when using your normal Blute, the effects instead last until the beginning of your next turn. You can use your normal Blute at will, requiring no action, instead of what previously was before. Now you're going to notice the wording where it says normal Blute. That means because when you're using Blue Vein on Haben and Blue Arteria on Haben, those aren't your normal Blute. So that's gonna, or some from other class features which we'll go over, those aren't normal Blute. So that's why it states here your normal Blute. And of course, when you're using your normal Blute, it requires no action. What does that mean? So normally when you, like a trigger would happen, like you're taking damage and you can activate Blue Vein. Now it doesn't require a reaction. You just spend the SP when the trigger happens. That's kind of it. So it makes it a little bit more stronger there. Prerequisites being Quincy 4, Wisdom 13. Next up, Blue Vein on Haben, I believe just updated wording on it. Like here, if a Kido is a trigger, the sphere absorbs any Kido 6 level lower, countering it. Before it would have the old school wording that like Dispel Magic would have. It would just end the effect. Since we're, we codified all that effect into a single word. That's basically what we did here. But the new one is Blue Arteria on Haben, which was basically a part of Blue Rainus, but was able to be offshoot into a new Quincy feat. Instead of the normal Blue Vein, when you make an attack, but before any rolls are made, as a reaction, you can expend 1 SP up to 5 times. You deal an additional 1d4 damage for each time you spend SP this way until the end of the next turn. So that's basically the only technically new Quincy feat. Everything else has just been updated. So we'll scroll down to the others. Improved Ginto proficiency. This one is just the last one. Before it used to read that the time to craft Ginto is reduced by half, but that's been added to a new Quincy Tradition. So instead this was changed to reduced by 1 hour, minimum 30. Technically a nerf, but this still works in conjunction with that other feat. That other ability from that class. So even if you're that class, you can still pick this up and it'll still be fine. But yeah, so next up is Point Blank Shot. So before, this used to just be kind of like an ability previously that you would get, but I decided it would just function better as a feat. And then because of a new class ability in the Quincy class, it makes sense for this being its own kind of Quincy feat. So it's the normal Point Blank Shot you would see in 3rd edition and what people are kind of aware of and what it used to be. Nothing different. It's kind of the same stuff. But next up, we're going to Renso Tengai. Same thing here. Wording has just been updated, and specifically, let me see here. Yeah, everything's kind of the same here. Nothing changed from what I remember here. Same thing when we go over to Sclavere. Just wording got changed. Like here, structures made a ratio drained by 66 instead of it saying the old wording of reducing the HP, because we codified that into a word. So it's now drained. That's kind of it right there. We did have Twin Shot. That got removed because that's getting changed. So that technically got deleted. You got Versatile Spirit here. That got updated because of the new Quincy bow stuff. While wielding a spiritual bow, as a bonus action, you can spend 5 SP to change your bow form to another for 1 minute, which will make a little bit more sense later on. But that's basically it for the feats. So we're gonna move on to the next update. Okay, next update is the meat and potatoes of the video. So this is what's gonna take up a long portion of the video. Of course, going through some of the stuff. I'll have timestamps, hopefully, so you guys can skip through the areas that you want to kind of go about and really find out about. But everything's kind of the same. I believe I just added a light armor just so the Quincy's have access to some form of armor, because now they don't have an armored defense like they used to before, I believe. and like the Quincy, the Shinigami have. So I wanted to keep it to light armor and not increase. You're gonna see with the other traditions, they don't have access to higher armor proficiencies because I don't. Because the Quincy's defensive abilities is the Blute. You're relying on Blute for your defense, and I don't want to build into the class to have higher AC when the Quincy's have Blute, because that would make them way too tanky in my opinion. So I don't want to add that in. So if you really want a higher AC, then pick up the feat that gives you more higher level of armor proficiencies, like medium and heavy armor proficiency, if you really want that. But the class revolves around Blute being its defensive property, and that got changed, and you get it at a much earlier level, which we'll go over later on. And then here on equipment, it says 2 Ginto of your choice. So this wording hopefully is a little bit more clear that when you pick this up, you're getting 2 Ginto of whatever. Like you get those 2 for free. Now I could make this a little bit more in the future, but I expect this being at level 2, so I think 2 for free is kind of fine. But like I said, I'm open to increasing it to like maybe 4 or more, depending on stuff. So people let me know later on, like, a month or 2 down the line, if 2 didn't feel like it was enough at level 1. I like to hear from multiple people. If that's the case, then I can increase that. But that's kind of the same, I believe, and I don't think anything else changed here. So let's move on down to the table. So as you can see, the table is quite brand new, following the new leveling structure really of 5.5. So I decided that's the best thing to do, and it also just matches the Shinigami, so make it in line with that. And that's something I'm going to be doing moving forward with all of the class leveling structures. They all happen at the same rate. I know some people have the argument of some classes it's really cool that they're unique and happening at like level 2 or whatever, like clerics in vanilla 5e as opposed to other ones, but I think this is better because it is less confusing for some new players that are new to D&D. I think it makes sure everyone knows things are happening at the same time. So when everyone's leveling up, everyone knows or can remind other people like, hey, remember, we're getting something happening at this level, because it's all basically the same. Maybe any difference is only being the armaments. But yeah, I wanted it to be all the same rate. And also because it helps the GM. So when a GM is designing stuff, they know everyone is kind of accelerating at the same rate, and the spikes are all happening at the same time. So they know at level 3, everyone's getting a big spike. So from level 3 to level 4, they know that's going to be around this level, what kind of power they're going to be at. And then at level 5, it's another spike. So from 5 to 6, you stay in that same spike. And then level 7, it's another spike. So it makes it also easier for the GM as well when they're designing stuff. Next up, we have the high rank IQ. Before, it used to cap out at 120, I believe. So that got nerfed because it was looking like no melee kind of class could really ever land or get on and stay on a Quincy. So that got dramatically reduced, just so those kind of enemies that are melee, and when people are doing PvP, you can actually stick onto Quincy and they don't like just completely outmaneuver you. Spell points, those stayed the same because I didn't really want to change that too much, because I don't know how much more they might need, if at all, because they have quite a few abilities that allow Quincy to regain SP, so I didn't really want to change it too much. So let me know a month or 2 down the line, if after playing some games and some sessions, if it feels like the spell points are very strenuous with the armament abilities and some of the class features, if it's not enough, especially with the spells too. I can't imagine it'd be too much with the spells unless you're the spell casting classes, which we'll go over. But yeah, like I said, let me know if that becomes a problem later on, and I'm willing to change that or make any buffs if needed. Next up, we have max spell level. So before they would scale up to level 8, now they only scale up to level 5, as with all the other classes, with any additional max spell levels being from their specific spell casting subclasses or traditions, and the factions that you can be part of, which increases it even further. So that's going to be that there. And let's move on to the class ability. So from looking at this here, you can see that it has the same look as the 5.5 D&D kind of look and format. I like it, so I'm trying it out, see how it looks. Maybe down the road it's not that great, people don't like it, I'm okay with changing it and putting it back to the old one. but let's see how it looks with the new one. I'm gonna update it and see how it looks. So Quincy Cross, basically the same thing, just wording got a little bit condensed. Ratio manipulation, all of that stayed the same. High rank IQ, basically the same stuff. Now, for those who remember, I did state on the Discord that I wanted to change up the high rank IQ. Technically, I've only mentioned it for the Quincy, about creating like reishi footholds that we see Mayuri doing, or Uryu when he was going up the Las Noches, he made like a little disc of reishi to float up to the top. I was initially going to do that just for the Quincy, but kind of everybody does that later on in the anime. We see everyone kind of like pseudo flying or standing in air. So instead, I decided to postpone that, and I might make that just a system-wide change for everybody to have some kind of access to that. Of course, with Quincy having access to a little bit more different stuff, since they can make those kind of ratio footholds like Uryu. We saw Uryu do. Maybe they'll have something like that specific to them. But yeah, I wanted to do that instead, so I postponed that, and I'll do that later on. Next up is blue. As you can see, you now get it at level 1. Everything else basically stayed the same. Word kind of got condensed, but it's all the same with the blue stuff. So nothing different there. Level 1 Ginto, same thing. This one kind of stayed the same, nothing too much difference. Some more examples were added for crafting Ginto. I think it's all pretty standard here. Potions is bolden, just to let you know that these are potions and they follow the rules of potions that you'll find in the regular 5e rules. So as you can see here, Ginto is now also classified as a simple ranged weapon with a weight of 1/8 of pounds and properties thrown range 30. As you can see, there's no, it doesn't show what kind of damage it does because it doesn't do damage. As you can see below, it says, if you would hit a target with a Ginto, they are subject to the effects of the Ginto. So when you throw in your Ginto at somebody, they're not taking damage, they're just being the subject of the Kito. That's it. And then level 1, we got Quincy Tradition. So you get something at level 1, and then at the usual 3, 7, 11, 15, which is the new level structure that I'm having everything follow. Level 4, ability score improvement, same thing. Level 5, extra attack, nothing new. Level 9, Quincy Expert. So if you recall, this here you had your choice of what was a sharpshooter, point blank shot, and all the other stuff. So all those became feats and classified as such. So then it also allowed you to be able to choose up the Quincy feat. So I changed that to you gain a Quincy feat of your choice. So that gives you more options to really help solidify in whatever route you're trying to do with your class. Next up at level 13, you regain 2 SP anytime an enemy within 60 feet of you that you can see is slain, cast Kito, or uses an armament ability. So this is what I was talking about, where Quincy gain access to something to regain SP throughout a fight. So, and there's no cap on it, so this is constantly happening, and this really goes in line with their ability to manipulate reishi and absorb it to their to be able to use for themselves. So pretty strong ability. But that's the spirit tap. Next up is level 17, expanded spirit. Whenever you make a saving throw and fail, you can spend 5 SP to reroll it and take the second result. Just simplified wording. Next up is Quincy Master, slightly different. When you deal damage with your Heilig Bogen, you may have it deal force damage instead of its base damage type, which since it's a bow, it's doing normal piercing damage. But now you're allowed to change it to force if you want to. Your Heilig Bogen deals an additional dice of damage. You only need one hand to wield and use your Heilig Bogen, and choose one ability score that increases by 4, and its maximum is now 25. Next up, finally, is level 20, the Epic Boon, which kind of the standard stuff you get at level 20. But yeah, that's gonna be the base class. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you like blue getting early on, how you feel about Ginto, all the other stuff here. I'd like to hear your thoughts about it. But now let's move on to Quincy Traditions. So the following Quincy Traditions are the Krieger, the Wachterin, Jager, Seelen, Chemiker, Zauberer, and the Nachkomme. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Maybe not. But those are the traditions currently in the book. So we're going to go over them one at a time. First up is the Krieger. You learn the tradition of the warrior, becoming a master of battle. So at level 1, you get martial training. Pretty much the same thing. I think words got a little cleaned up, but it's the same thing. Nothing is different from it. Next up is fighting style. That basically stay the same thing. However, the only difference is now at level 3, you get combat superiority. Now, I went with combat superiority because I know Quincy are a little bit more thoughtful in their battle, and as mainly what we can see from Uryu. So I feel like the combat superiority and the maneuvers was the perfect fit for this rework for the Krieger. So it's kind of the same stuff. I made abbreviations, so for the superiority die, it's abbreviated to SD. It's all kind of the same stuff, so we won't really go too much over it if anyone's familiar with the fighter from vanilla D&D. But let's go on to the other stuff. Level 7, they get Relentless Pursuit. When you hit a creature with a melee opportunity attack, you can move up to half your speed immediately after the attack and as part of the same reaction. This movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Level 11, they get extra attack, so now they can attack 3 times instead of twice. Level 11, improved combat superiority. Your superiority die becomes a D10, and then once you reach 18th level, it becomes D12. Relentless Warrior, once per turn when you use a maneuver, you can roll 1d8 and use the number rolled instead of expending a superiority dice. Additionally, when you expend a SD and roll a 1, you regain an expended use, which is pretty good when you get those really low rolls. And then we have the maneuver options, which are the standard kind of stuff. There's some new ones, but I'm really not going to go over them because we have so much to go over already. So I'll leave it up to you guys to go through and thumb through these and see what you guys think about them. But let's move on to the next one. Next up is the Wachterin. You learn the tradition of the Guardian, wielding defensive power to protect your allies in battle. Level 1, Guardian training. Proficiency in Constitution saving throws. You gain proficiency in one of the chosen skills: acrobatics, athletics, intimidation, or persuasion. You can use Constitution instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls of your unarmed strikes. You can roll a d4 in place of the normal damage of your unarmed strikes, and then it increases at certain levels. So this is supposed to play the tank role for the Quincy. However, because there's like having a bow and becoming a tank, you need to be up in the face of some people, and sometimes you don't really want to take a point blank shot to be with your bow. So I decided to give them this feature here so they can still dump a lot of points into Constitution, but still be able to do some damage, so you're not like completely mad. Well, for those who don't know what that term means, but for those who do. So I decided to do that. So now when you're doing your unarmed strikes, you can use Constitution, so you can keep putting stuff in there and not have to worry too much about putting stuff into strength, just in case you want to really deep dive into Constitution. And then of course, scaling unarmed strike damage for later levels. Next up, we have Eisenblut at level 3. When you activate Blut Vein, you gain double the temporary hit points. These temporary hit points stack with other sources of temporary hit points. This is just to really, encapsulate that the tankiness of them. So you gain double the amount, and then it kind of goes in hand with their second ability, the Geschenk Blut. When you activate Blue Vein, you can choose any number of adjacent creatures to grant them temporary hit points equal to half the amount you gain. So it helps you buff up your party a little bit, make them a little bit more tankier in case they are certain classes that are up in the front lines with you, or they started getting attacked with other people, so they don't get completely destroyed so fast. Next up, we have Blut Gegengriff. While Blut Vein is active, when you take damage from a melee attack and you still have temporary hit points, you can use your reaction to make an unarmed strike against the creature that dealt the damage. So what this would basically translate to is like Blut Counter or Blut Riposte, which is pretty cool. So there's that there to help dish out a little bit more damage as a tank. At level 11, we got Seal and Eifer. You gain the Ranso Tengai feat, using your Constitution score instead of Intelligence. Additionally, you can use Ranso Tengai while at 0 HP, remaining conscious. You still make death saving throws as normal, but when you stabilize or regain hit points, you gain 1 level of exhaustion. This level of exhaustion can only be removed by finishing a long rest. You got level 15, Heiliger Wächter. While Blut Vein is active, you have resistance to physical and elemental damage, showing the pinnacle of your tankiness. So that's going to be it for the Wachterin. It's pretty straightforward. Most martial classes, they're not too complicated, which is a good thing. They need to be a little bit more simplistic, especially when you're trying to be a tank. I don't want to have it too complicated. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Wachterin. Let me know if you're happy with this tank class. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below or in the Discord. Let me know what you guys think about that. But let's move on over to the next one. Next up is Jager. You learn the tradition of the hunter, honing your skills in tracking, precision, and taking down foes with deadly efficiency. Level 1, you get hunter training, proficiency in dex saves, proficiency nature, perception, survival, and can cast Hunter's Mark at will without spending SP a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You regain spent uses on a long rest. It does not require concentration, and it deals an additional 1d4 damage. The additional damage further increases by 1d4 at 6th level to 3d4, then 44, 54, and 64 at certain levels that states below. So this is going to replace the foe feature that it used to have, and also basically uses what 5.5 now uses, which in 5.5 the whole ranger class revolving around hunter's mark was definitely a huge mistake. I definitely think it's more better as a subclass, and like here, it definitely fits more better being a subclass, and especially in this setting. But definitely in vanilla 5.5, it doesn't. I don't think it works at all. It's pretty terrible. But in here, it's really good. And then additionally, you get while tracking other creatures, you also learn their exact numbers or size and how long ago they passed through the area. Next up, at level 3, we get Natural Explorer, a slight nerf really from the previous version of it, but I think this is a little bit better because I don't see a point in getting all the other stuff because most campaigns are happening kind of like in the city, so they're kind of useless and don't make sense to have. I could be wrong. Feel free, let me know if anyone is out. If any other campaigns, they are also still done out in the wild and not too much in the cities. But most of my campaigns are definitely usually always taking place in the city or in like Soul Society, in the Rukon Guy, which is, you know, technically some kind of city or town, so not really out in the wilderness. So let me know what you guys think, if I'm wrong there and I should still add all the other, you know, stuff back to it. I could definitely do something like that in the future, so let me know. But what it does now is you become a master of navigating the natural world. You gain the following benefits. Moving through non-magical difficult terrain costs you no extra movement. You can pass through non-magical flora without being slowed or taking damage from hazards like thorns or spines. You have advantage on saving throws against flora that are magically created or manipulated to impede movement, such as those created by the Entangle spell. Next up, we have level 7. Now, these are definitely way better abilities than it was previously, and they do revolve around the Hunter's Mark, like I said previously, like it does in 5.5, but I think, like I said, it works better here. At level 7, we have Know Your Enemy. As a bonus action, you choose a creature you can see within 60 feet of you marked by your Hunter's Mark to learn whether it has any immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities, and what they are. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You can also restore use of this feature by spending 2 uses of Hunter's Mark. Big deal. This definitely, I think, fits in line with this whole hunter aspect where you're hunting one specific person and you're getting that information from them as you hunt them down. I think is really crazy, really good. I really like it. Yeah, it's really cool. And then again, at level 11, further with this kind of theme, anticipate your enemy. As a bonus action, you can choose a creature you can see within 60 feet of you marked by your Hunter's Mark. You gain advantage on saving throws the creature forces you to make with the same recharge on the previous one. So this really just helps you fight and hunt down that one particular marked enemy. And yeah, I think it's really cool. I really like these. They're very powerful abilities and makes them a little bit better than what we normally see out of like a ranger. But yeah, next up, level 11, same thing. Wording just got updated. And then level 15 Slayer's Mark, the dice size of your Hunter's Mark increases to a d6. So that's it for the Jager. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you like this one better than the previous version in the comments below. I'd like to hear about it. But that's gonna be it. Let's move on over to the next one. Next up, we have the Seelen Chemiker, otherwise known as the Soul Chemist. You learn the tradition of the Soul Chemist, mastering the art of alchemy and Ginto craft. Level 1, Ginto Specialist. You gain proficiency in Charisma or Intelligence saving throws, your choice. You gain proficiency in Arcana and Medicine. You gain proficiency in Alchemist Tools and Herbalist Kit. Using or administering a potion is a bonus action for you instead of an action. The range of your Ginto when used as a weapon is increased by 10 feet times your Wisdom modifier. The time to create Ginto using the Quincy spell list is reduced by half. So this here is a subclass that specializes and revolves all around the Ginto and that class feature, which is pretty cool. Before, this used to be kind of part of the Zauberer, but that got changed because I feel like this didn't really make sense with that and could have been better utilized as a full subclass, which I did here. So let's continue on. At level 3, we get Ginto Expert. The GP cost to create Ginto using the Quincy spell list is reduced by half. Additionally, crafting Ginto is considered light activity. So this probably won't seem like a big deal But for some other more experienced players and groups, they know light activity is something done like you could do even while long resting, short resting, and in between certain kind of stuff like traveling. So this like doesn't right away reduce the time to create Ginto like per hour, how it normally takes. But when you're doing it, when you're long resting, when you're short resting, when you're traveling, then that's a big reduction that you're gonna feel, to the crafting time of your Ginto in between battles and big events. So next up is a really cool feature that I liked. Took a long time on this one because to get the wording right. So hopefully this is at a spot where I like it and it makes sense for people. Ginto Barrage. When you take the attack action, you can draw a Ginto as part of the attack you make with it. Additionally, if all attacks made during your attack action are with a Ginto, you can make an additional attack with a Ginto as a bonus action. So why is this wording used? So normally, I know this was something in like 3rd edition or Pathfinder where they made this thing. Even now, if you have say 3 attacks that you can make and you want to be a class that's like throwing shurikens or kunai or something, you only have the 2 in your hand. You can't draw other stuff, other weapons as part of the attack. You can only do that with like ammunition. You can't do that with regular weapons. So if you're like kind of that build where you have 1 attack kunai, 2nd attack kunai, 3rd attack, I want to throw another kunai, but I only have 2 hands and I can only hold the 2, so I can't. And I'll do that 3rd attack with whatever else. So that's why the wording is on here where you can draw a Ginto as part of the attack you make with it. So you can have your hands no Ginto, and then when you make an attack, you can pull out a Ginto and do that. So yeah, that's the point of it. And then to reward you for doing that, if you make all your attacks during attack action with a Ginto, bonus action, another Ginto attack. So I'm a big fan of that. Let me know if it's still not clear. I feel like it's the most clear. I've gone through so many different English translations, and like a fucking ChatGPT kind of giving me different versions of trying to see what's the most clear version I can make this. So I think this is like the best it's gonna be for now. But yeah. Next up is level 11 Dual Distillation, another cool ability. When crafting Ginto, you can infuse them with a second Kido. Choose a second Kido of the same school and spell list as a primary Kido, but 2 levels lower minimum cantrip. The Ginto contains both Kido. When used, the target is subjected to the effects of both Kido. You can have a number of dual Ginto equal to your wisdom modifier +1. If you craft more than your maximum, the oldest dual Ginto becomes inert. So I already know what kind of questions I'm gonna get. It's very obvious, but I know I'm gonna get it. And even with this video, I'm still gonna get asked this, so I'm gonna answer it here. What happens when both Kido require concentration? Who holds concentration? As normal potions states, whoever's the subject of it, they're gonna hold concentration. So that means if both spells require concentration, one of them is gonna fail because you can only hold concentration on one thing at a time. So that's something very obvious, but I know I'm gonna get asked, so I'll answer it here. And even though I'm answering here, I know I'm still gonna get asked it. But yeah, hopefully that clears that up. Level 15, we get Ginto Master. You have Master Ratio Manipulation and can duplicate the effects of other Kido. You may craft a Ginto using Kido from any spell list. If you craft a Ginto using Kido not on the Quincy spell list, both the SP and GB costs to craft it are doubled. So if you go back up, you can see here, the time to craft Ginto using the Quincy spell list is reduced by half. So none of that will come into effect with crafting Kido of other spell lists. But that's going to be it for the Seelen Chemiker. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if you're excited to do something like that. I think Ginto Barrage might be underrated for a hot second. People will not realize how insanely powerful this ability can be. I feel like this can be insanely strong, and I'm not going to really talk about how it could be. I'm going to let people figure that out on how it can be crazy. But this ability, I can foresee I might have to nerf at some point because it is really strong. So I'll leave it up to people to figure out and find out how strong it is, or if anyone wants to post in the Discord in the comments below how it can be strong. So yep, that's gonna be it for the this subclass. Let me know what you guys think below in the comments below, and if you can figure out how this is strong and why this is really powerful. But let's move on to the next one. All right, I just realized that I might be covering some of the stuff that I was going over, so I really hope you guys were able to see some of that stuff and I wasn't covering it. All right, I feel kind of dumb here. Whoops. I normally do this when I'm with all the in the other page, in the edit page of the book, but yeah, I decided to do it this way, and I've now remembered why I did it the other way. Sorry about that, guys. If I was going through, then you couldn't see them. Anyways, let's continue on. Next up is the Zauberer. So you learn the traditions of the arcane, harnessing Reishi to cast devastating Kido. Boy, I cannot spoke today. So this is a rework of the previous Zauberer. The Zauberer previously had like a lot of the Ginto specialist kind of stuff, but instead I decided to change the Zauberer to be a kind of traditional spellcasting class, like a sorcerer, cleric, and those kind of classes that you'll see, which we'll go over later on in the spirit casting. But in case anyone want to be a Quincy and kind of not really deal with that, alchemy kind of spellcasting that they normally have access to, if they want to be more of a traditional caster, there's this option here as well. So that's the arcane training, and let's go over spirit casting. So you prepare a list of Quincy Kido that are available for you to cast without using Ginto. Whenever you finish a long rest, choose a number of cantrips equal to your PB and a number of Kido equal to your Quincy level plus intelligence modifier. The chosen Kido can't be of a level greater than your max spell level. Kido of third level and higher are particularly taxing to cast, which is a normal kind of limit on casting third or higher spells. You can also prepare a new list by spending time in meditation, at least 1 minute per Kido level for each Kido on your list. And this class feature may be used in place of the spellcasting feature to meet any prerequisites. Like some feats say, like you need spellcasting to pick up this feat. This class feature can be used in place of that, the spellcasting feature, for those things. So yeah, I know I'm gonna get also the question where it says here, every long rest you prepare a number of Kido equal to your Quincy level plus intelligence modifier. Say if you're level, like, I don't know, 5 or something, that's going to be 5 plus your intelligence modifier, and if it's 4, it's going to be 9 spells that you can have prepare. And a lot of people are going to ask, well, how many level 1 spells can I prepare? How many level 2s? How many level 3s? However many you want. The only limit is what is your max spell level. So if you can't cast level 5 spells, you can't prepare any of those. So if you want them all to be level 3 spells, you can, but then you're going to screw yourself because there is a limit on how many of the level 3 and higher spells you can cast. So yeah, hopefully that answers that. But I know I'm still gonna get answered that question, and I'm gonna answer it, I don't know how many times. But yeah, hopefully people see this video and see that. So hopefully that's clear for that. Spellcasting abilities, kind of the same thing, just tells you intelligence is your spellcasting modifier. Ritual casting, kind of same thing. And then spellcasting focus, normal thing. You can use your Quincy Cross as a spellcasting focus. And then level 3, 7, and 11, it's basically the same thing as the key specialist for the Shinigami. I kept it the same just so it's because it's basically the same thing. And then level 15 is a new ability, which is pretty cool, called Spirit Lash. When your Spirit Tap feature is triggered, instead of gaining 2 SP, you can choose one of the following effects based on the trigger. If it was a creature that was slain, you gain 2d8 temporary hit points. If a Kido was cast, learn the name and level the Kido being cast. And Armament ability activated, deal 2 force damage to that creature. So this just helps with if you want to deal some damage, getting some knowledge of what's being cast, and then of course getting a little bit of temporary hit points to buff yourself up. So because if you're a spellcaster and you're pretty squishy, so helps you be a little bit more defensive. So that's a little defensive feature for them. But that's gonna be it for the Zauberer. Definitely like it better than before. It's a lot better now, more traditional. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if you like it. Some of the different things you probably would have liked to see. Whatever you want to mention, I would like to hear it below in the comments. Let me know. But let's move on to the final Quincy tradition, which is the Nachkomme. So this translates to descendants or scion, and it reads: you learn the traditions of the Emperor, becoming a potential candidate to inherit the Almighty and the will of the Quincy. So I'm gonna give a little bit of backstory on this. I'm gonna go. There's gonna be a little bit of spoilers here. So if I'm not lazy enough, I'll put a little message where you can skip to kind of skip over this explanation. But in my kind of personal canon that I have in my campaigns, all of the campaigns are, or most of them, are after the 1,000-year Blood War arc and about 10 to 20 years after that as well. And for those who don't know, in I believe one of the novels, Can't Fear Your Own World, they state that once after the arc finished, the body of Yhwach was used as a new Soul King to manage the flow of souls and become the new linchpin. And for that reason, I have it in my canon that now that he's in there, he is then having a lot of people inherit this power of his soul distribution to hopefully one of them become strong enough to inherit the Almighty and be able to go over there to him and basically free him from that prison by killing him and absorbing them into themselves and becoming one. And pseudo resurrecting kind of, but just becoming the new emperor and person that's going to come in here and continue on his will or whatever. So that's kind of my canon, and this is basically where the subclass comes from, is from that, kind of becoming a candidate to become the next Yhwach. So this one kind of breaks a little bit of the previous thing we've been seeing, where a lot of it is more German translation. Some of them aren't, because it was really difficult to find accurate translations of German stuff, really. So like Arcane Training, Spirit Casting, I kind of just stopped because it was just it became difficult. Maybe I'll do it later on, but I wanted to give leave the two different ones so people can let me know if they like the German translation, so then I can change all of them, or if it's better to leave them all English. So I like to hear that feedback. But let's continue on. So for the Nachkomme, they don't use the traditional German. It uses Hebrew, which is basically where Yhwach's name is derived from. It's basically derived from Yahweh, which is Hebrew for God. So we have Shekinah, which translates to dwelling of God, like God dwells within this area. So with Shekinah, it's like God dwells with you, because that's how Yhwach sees himself. So Yhwach dwells within you. So that's kind of the translation of it. So what does it read? You are proficient in charisma and one other saving throw of your choice. You gain proficiency in 4 skills of your choice. You gain proficiency in 2 artisan tools of your choice. You gain a generic feat. So all of this seems very generic, not a lot of kind of solidified road of where this class does, what does it do, which doesn't really become revealed until level 3, the soul distribution. So as you can see from here, right away you're gonna realize that this is basically Yhwach, the class. You can become Yhwach, you get the soul distribution abilities and all the other stuff you can do. Obviously some of them is a little difficult, because it's like what comes from soul distribution and what comes from the Almighty and what comes from his other powers he gains later on in the story. So I decided to choose which ones are which, so hopefully you agree with them. So let's go with soul distribution. As a bonus action, you can impart a fragment of your soul to another creature within 60 feet of yourself that you can see. The creature gains a soul fragment. A creature can have only 1 soul fragment at a time, and it lasts for an hour until consumed or the creature dies. You always know the location of a creature with your soul fragment, including what plane they're on. You choose one of the following options the soul fragment provides. Leben. You reduce your max HP up to an amount equal to 4 times your proficiency bonus. The creature's maximum HP is increased by that same amount. Your SP cannot be restored by any means while they have the fragment. Pfeil. Same thing except for SP. Gemut. Choose any number of skills and or tools you're proficient with. The creature becomes proficient in those skills and or tools, and you lose proficiency in those skills and or tools. Corper. Choose a saving throw you are proficient in. You lose proficiency in that saving throw, and the creature becomes proficient with it. Thin. Choose one of your senses. The creature gains that sense, and you lose it. Heldentat. Choose any number of feats you know. You lose access to those feats as if you didn't have them, and the creature gains those feats. Quincy Pride. Additionally, once when the creature fails a D20 test, the creature can roll a D6 and add the number rolled to the D20, potentially turning the failure into a success. The soul fragment is then consumed. Number of uses. You can impart a soul fragment a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, minimum once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. This isn't a maximum of how many soul fragments can have out, just how many per day you can create. So any number of creatures can have soul fragments. There's just a number of times per day you can make. Okay. Whew, yeah, big ability, a lot of words, a lot of stuff. As you can also see, D20 test is a term that's being used in the new 5.5 edition. I'm going to be using it because it's just shorthand to encapsulate all the stuff. Like, I believe it's saving throw skills and a bunch of other stuff. So I like it, and I'm going to start using it. As I go through the book, I'll be kind of updating it. Some stuff you'll see here and there, but later on, as I make other updates, I'll be updating it to use the new wording on there. But yeah, so now that's basically one of the bread and butter of this class, which, as you can see, it definitely functions more as a support class. However, a lot of people are going to see this and be like, man, I'm reducing a lot of stuff. I'm taking a lot of negatives. Like, what am I going to get out of it? Well, starting at level 7, you get soul absorption. And this is where you start to scale and become crazy like Yuha Baha does. So, soul absorption level 7. Your soul fragments now last indefinitely until consumed or recalled. As a bonus action, you can recall any number of soul fragments, empowering yourself temporarily until you finish a long rest. When a creature with your soul fragment dies, you gain the following benefits. Knowledge of death. You know the creature's location and receive a vague impression of how they died. Example, slain by a Shinigami, poisoned, or succumbed to illness. Return of the Emperor. The slain creature may have the soul fragment returned to you. If so, you are empowered permanently. The type of empowerment you gain is based on the soul fragment option chosen when created. So as you can see here, we have Leben. Your maximum HP is increased by half the amount of HP you provided. Feel, your maximum SP is increased by half the amount of SP you provided. Yamut, choose a skill the creature is proficient with. You gain proficiency in that skill. Corpor, choose a saving throw the creature is proficient with. You gain proficiency in that saving throw. Sin, you choose a sense the creature had. You gain that sense. Aldentat, choose a feat the creature had. You gain that feat. So this is where you start scaling. Now I have to have the part here where the creature may have the soul fragment returned to you when they die, because I don't want any murder hobos to abuse this. And I know some campaigns and some GMs know exactly what I'm talking about. So this also enforces the player to go a little bit more RP heavy and really talk with whoever you're giving these soul fragments to and really lay down the riz on them to tell them, I'm the next emperor, I'm the second coming, boy. You got to follow me and give me power so we can, do whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. So it really helps encourage some RP. But yeah, that's basically it. And now we're gonna go over to the next crazy ability that you got a little glimpse of. That's pretty crazy. Inscribe Shrift. So level 11. Oh shoot, you can't even see it. God, I keep forgetting about that. Okay, level 11. Inscribe Shrift. You gain the boon of the Shrift and gain the letter A Shrift. When using your soul distribution feature, instead of the normal options, you can spend an hour performing an engraving ritual. Another non-hollow creature drinks a cup of liquid infused with your blood. Upon doing so, they gain the boon of the Shrift, and you grant them a letter not yet chosen. Additionally, when the creature uses Quincy Pride, the soul fragment is not consumed, but they can't do so again until they finish a long rest. So now you get that. So I didn't put on here like the Almighty, just in case I don't, just in case. I don't want it to limit people to just be able to only pick up the Almighty. I'll have it in the Schrifts for people to pick up if they want to, but that's why I leave it blank. They just get the A Shrift to let them know that, they're A. But yeah, so that's going to be it there for Inscribe Shrift. And then next up is a very powerful ability. We get Ashvalen. You can perform a powerful ritual calling forth the light of judgment and restoration. By spending 1 minute and 15 SP, you choose any number of creatures bearing your soul fragment and recall them. A radiant 10-foot radius, 100-foot tall cylinder of light shines down upon each chosen creature. Each target must make a Constitution saving throw at disadvantage. DC equal to your Quincy level plus your proficiency bonus. Creatures on a different plane of existence make this saving throw with advantage, which they're making at disadvantage, so it basically means a normal roll. On a failed save, the creature is slain and you are permanently empowered as per your soul absorption feature. On a successful save, the creature survives but loses their boon of the Shrift and Vollständig or equivalent ascension features. So if you give this to like a Shinigami or give this to some other person that has a different kind of ascension feature, like we see Yuha do with the Hollow, when you would recall it, it would repart their ascension, which would be their, God, why am I blanking on it? The resurrection, Jesus. Or their Bankai for Shinigami. And then for each creature affected, whether slain or not, you may choose one option from the following list. Choose a deceased creature that had a soul fragment. They are restored as if you cast 2 resurrection on them, and you can have them stay in the same location they died. You permanently gain an armament ability. You choose a creature within 60 feet of you. They are restored as if affected by the greater restoration keto. You choose a creature within 60 feet of you, but they are restored as if affected by the power word heal keto. You choose a creature within 60 feet of you and restore a missing limb. So this is something we see Yuha do when he casts the Australian with his Schutzstaffel and they die. He kind of resurrects them. So similar kind of thing you can do. So the biggest thing about this ability is on a failed save, the creature is slain and you permanently empower by your soul absorption feature. So before on the soul absorption, when it says like they have to be willing to give you the soul fragment, with Australian, you just say, nope, I'm taking it, you're dying, and I'm empowering myself permanently in whatever method, as per the ability. To really be in line with Yuha and how he does his stuff. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the new Quincy traditions and updates to them. Let me know what you guys think. Biggest one that I like is the Nachkomme. This one took so much time because just the wording on these really big, long abilities was really tough. So I really wanted to, get the wording right, make sure all this is really good and very, very clear to understand for people, especially new people. This definitely isn't something for new players to play with. It's very, it's very difficult from how long the abilities do, keeping track of them, the RP heaviness of it. If you want to really gain the most bang for your buck on the soul absorption. So I definitely don't recommend new players playing this. I would recommend doing one of the other traditions. But yeah, that's it. Let's move on over to the Heilig Bogen. Alrighty, so as you can see, we have the class table, or well, the armaments table, a lot smaller before. You're not seeing before I would have a lot of the other bow forms and kind of list their scaling ranges, which didn't really work that well because some of them scaled really freaking high. So instead I decided to do something different, which we're gonna go over, but you can see here's all the stuff. But yeah, let's get right into it. So your armament base type is Heilig Pfeil, since it got updated. Your Heilig Bogen level is the same level as your Quincy level. Heilig Bogen selection. Heilig Bogen are broken down by type, spiritual or physical, and form. Each Quincy starts with a spiritual bow of a form they choose. This choice is permanent. This selection will be your released form. So before you had to choose between one or the other, but now all the Quincy start out with the spiritual bow, and then anybody can construct a physical bow, which we'll go over later on. Bow, level 2 bow attribute. You learn to unleash magical effects with your arrows. You gain 2 armament abilities of your choice. You gain 2 additional armament abilities at each even level. So kind of similar stuff there. Magic weapons the same. This one's new. Let's Pfeil, which is final arrow. This is basically the ultimate ability. Everything's kind of the same what you would see in the normal ultimate stuff, the recharge time when it breaks or whatever. Now I know some people are gonna ask like, hey, what's the like, how does this work with Quincy's? Because if you have like a spirit bow, how's a spirit bow broken? That's up to you and your GM, however you want to portray that. This is just purely mechanical, and it's really up to you how in game it works or it looks like. Like in the anime with Uryu, we saw him trying to form a bow and it just like kept crackling with energy and you just couldn't solidify one. So you can have it be like that, or you can have it where it's the Quincy cross that's broken, because that's kind of where your bow comes from. That can be broken, that's slowly regenerating. However you want to do it, it doesn't really matter. I'm really not going to put a lot of that fluff stuff in there because I don't really want to make that like the de facto thing. Like the fluff should be whatever you guys feel like is cool and you guys want to do, which varies from person to person, campaign to campaign, GM to GM. So I'm not going to really put that on there, but this is just purely mechanical. So that's would be up to you guys to figure out. Level 10 is the Vollständig. Same thing. I think just updated some wording and condensed stuff, but I don't believe anything changed there. So let's move on to the Bogen construction. So bow material. When crafting a bow, the material is physical. Spiritual bow. A spiritual bow has the following traits. As a bonus action, you spend 1 SP to release your Heilig Bogen. Your Heilig Pfeil abilities cost 1 less SP, minimum 1 SP. Your Heilig Bogen requires concentration. Taking damage doesn't cause you to lose concentration. This is just to kind of, be a keep in line with this and other abilities that require concentration, because you're already getting a 1 SP discount, so that's why that's here. If you're not holding onto your Heilig Bogen with at least one hand, it disappears. If your Heilig Bogen would be destroyed, disarmed, or removed from you while you're holding it, as a reaction, you can expend 1 SP to reform it in your hand. I just cleared up some wording here for this one, and I believe this as well. So nothing really changed from the spiritual bow, but that's all the traits of it. So let's go on to the physical bow. So you can see here we got the first table, which we'll go over in a bit because I'm kind of blocking. You know what? I'm just gonna remove myself for a bit. Okay, physical bow. A physical bow gains different traits based on the material it's made of. When you roll for initiative, you can release your Heilig Bogen. Otherwise, it's an action to do so. So that's only for physical bows. To craft a bow, you need raw materials worth the listed GP cost. To determine how many hours it takes to craft a bow, divide its GP cost by 5. For example, you need 1 hour to craft a wooden bow. A Quincy may craft multiple physical bows, but cannot craft a bow of a different form from what they selected. Whether you finish a long rest, you must choose which physical bow is your released bow. All other physical bows you can carry with you as additional equipment, but they don't count as your armament. Now, this is me being very conservative because I can see this getting really out of hand, allowing a Quincy to craft different bows of different forms. So I'm going to leave this kind of conservative restriction here, and later on, if people are playing, can let me know if it maybe not that big of a deal and I can remove it or change it. But right now, I'm just a little afraid of it, so I'm going to leave it as is. So let me know a month or two down the line if you think that's too big of a restriction. But let's look at some of the materials we got here. We have adamantine, 1,000 gold. When you hit a constructed object, the hit is a critical. And we got cold iron, dealing an additional 2 damage against Pfeil. Infernal iron, 1d4 bonus damage. Mithril loses the heavy property. Steel silver base damage die size increased by one step. So we got a lot of different stuff here. The cost, the weight of them, which adjusts to the bow. The hit points, which adjusts, which the bow will have on here. Now, when it comes to the hit points, a lot of people will kind of get afraid of it. By normal, vanilla D&D rules, everything has hit points, but it never really comes up because it rarely ever does. But if it ever does, they have those rules there just in case you need them. So I wouldn't be surprised or shocked or scared seeing hit points for weapons, because it probably will never come up. And in my, I don't know how many years I've been running Bleach campaigns and stuff, I can tell you that it's come across maybe twice. So it's not really something to worry about, but it's there just in case. Now we have the bow forms. The listed weight is the base weight. For physical bows, this weight can be changed based on the material used to craft it. So the weights, even if it's a spiritual bow, it's still going to go off of the weight just because of mechanic reasons. For other stuff that it might matter, for like weight if you're dealing with that. So if you're not, don't really have to worry too much about it, but yeah. Anyways, we have all of these are basically the same, a little bit different. Ranges are kind of set to their specific ranges now. And the only new ones is a palm bow, the pistol, and the rifle. So the rifle is because we see, Lily use it, so I decided to put in the rifle. We got Robert using the pistol, so I put in the pistol. And then we got the palm bow that Masaki uses when she's fighting White. Now, I know some people will be like, hey, where's the machine gun? Because we had Grammy had a bunch of machine guns. I don't know that was really his Heilig Bogen, mainly just his Schrift that he just started making a bunch of machine guns. I don't recall him actually ever showing what his Heilig Bogen looks like, I believe. I think he just relied on his Schrift, so I'm obviously not going to put machine guns on there. And if you want a machine gun, then you have Wembo. That's your machine gun. So as you can see here in the weapon properties, we got something new. We got push, we got explosive, far shot, blitz, steady aim, quick shot, volley. Those are just some of the ones we've seen previously, like volleys, but we've seen Webbo, but it just got codified into a weapon property, which we will go over now. So as stated in the changelog, this is all found in page 6 with all the other stuff here, new updated or alternate rules that the book uses. So now we have new weapon properties. So let's go through them. We got push. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from yourself if it is large or smaller. If the push creature would be pushed against a solid barrier, they take an additional +2 damage for each 5 feet moved. So normally some of these stuff you'll see in the new 5.5 edition with like weapon masteries. So I pulled some of those over here because I like them. And then for push, I just added the extra damage because I just wanted to give them a little bit more damage instead of just moving it, because it just felt like too mediocre to me. Next up, we have explosive. When an explosive weapon deals damage to a target, each creature adjacent to them is dealt half the weapon's damage dice. For example, if the weapon deals 2d4 damage, the explosive damage would be 1d4. If it deals 46 damage, it would deal 2d6 damage, and etc. It's always going to be half the dice. And then obviously, if it's 3d6, half of that is always rounded down, as it states in normal Bleach, in the normal vanilla 5e rules, which most of this book is based off of and uses, unless specified here. So yep, that's going to be explosive, pretty cool. Next up, we have far shot. A far shot weapon deals an extra +1 damage for each 10 feet beyond the weapon's normal range. Pretty standard stuff we've seen before. Next up, we have blitz. Once on your turn, you can spend 5 SP to take the attack action as a bonus action with this weapon. Pretty crazy, can be very powerful. Next up, we have steady aim. As a bonus action, you can give yourself advantage on your next attack roll on the current turn. You can use this bonus action only if you haven't moved during this turn, and after you use this bonus action, your speed is 0 until the end of the current turn. Something similar you see in, I believe rogues get this with like Tasha's when it came out, I believe. So some of you might be familiar with that, but I just codified it as a weapon property. Next up, we got quick shot. As a bonus action, you can make a single range attack with this weapon. And then volley, from normally what we would see with the web bow. When you take the attack action with a volley weapon, immediately after you can spend 4 SP to make 2 ranged weapon attacks with it as a bonus action. So those are all the new weapon properties and all the updates and the changes to the Heilig Bogen. So let me know what you guys think about it. What are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about the changes to the bow? If you like it a lot better, if it's not as good. The biggest change why I did that is because I think I mentioned it is, you know, when you're starting off level 1, you have a physical bow. It's like, okay, well, which bow do I have? I don't have any gold to make any of the other ones. Like, do I just start out with wood? Like, I need 5 gold. What if I don't have 5 gold? If I don't get it from, you know, like the background, like, well, how do I do this? So this is to help mitigate that. So everyone just starts out with the physical bow, spiritual bow, and then you can start crafting, physical bows. And then let me know about the restriction and let me know all about that, what you guys think about it. So let's finally move on to the Heilig Pfeil abilities. So with the Heilig Pfeil abilities, they now have their own little fluff, like all the other armament abilities. Additionally, in the Table of Continents, obviously they got changed because now it starts with Heilig Pfeil instead of bow attributes, so they got moved around to be alphabetical. So let's give this a read. A divine gift rests within your soul. A proud blood courses through your veins that guides your aim. With each arrow knocked, the air hums with righteous fury. As the bow is drawn, Racy surges upon the string, heralding the arrival of a power that pierces through evil. Really want to keep in line with the whole kind of like holier than thou kind of feel that the Quincy's get, especially with the new arc and the whole Quincy blood situation that Udi was all about in the earlier arcs. But yeah, right away you're going to notice, hey, where are the innate abilities? They are on my writing document and I didn't put them on. I didn't add them on here. So I didn't notice that until I was going through all the stuff here, doing the video and then, you know, prepping all the stuff. So I will add that in the hotfix. So don't worry about that. It will be added. But I'm not going to go through a lot of these abilities because they're all about the same. There's some new ones for like melee people, but these are basically the same thing, just got updated to kind of be in line with all the other armament abilities. Now, one thing I know I'm gonna see here, you're gonna see on Rage Heilig Bogen. Now, this is really obvious, but I know I'm gonna get questions about it. Is, hey, my range for my Heilig Bogen is like 60, 120. Is the range 60 feet or is the range 120 feet? Well, your range is both of them, but one is short range and one is long range. And when you're attacking with your long range, you know you have disadvantage on it. So it's whatever it is, it's stated on your weapon, but one's gonna receive a penalty or a disadvantage penalty over the other when you're making an armament attack with it. So that's pretty obvious, but I hadn't mentioned that there just because I know people were going to ask me about it. And then, like I said, all the other ones are the same. The only ones I'm going to go over is the new ultimate abilities. So we have Lester Brecken. You channel immense ray sheet through your Heilig Bogen. Make a single armament attack with advantage against a creature within range. On a hit, you deal 66 bonus damage, and they must succeed on a Constitution saving throw. On a failure, you choose an armament they're holding. It is destroyed and gains the broken condition until they finish a long rest. Pretty powerful ability. What this ability translates to is Final Sunder. So Sundering is not something that I put in a lot, but I wanted to put it in for Quincy to give him something very powerful, and also to help out when you are... What I expect this ability to be used for is when you're someone in the party is a Quincy, and you guys are getting completely destroyed by some opponent, some boss, some creature that probably has some armament ability that completely counters your party, and they just can't handle it. So this can be used to break it and try to take them down now that they don't have their armament, or to escape and get the hell out of there. So maybe if you're up against a team of people, like say you're a bunch of Quincy's, and or I don't know, you're like 2 Fullbringers, 1 Quincy, and 1 freaking, I don't know, Hollow or something, and you guys come across a group of Quincy's. You guys are okay, we need this guy is crazy, we'll use ultimate, break that, and we'll try to get the hell out of here, or whatever else. So that's basically what I assume people would be using it. You're more than welcome to try to attack and break other people's and try to fight them with it, whatever. But I think it's pretty cool. Next up is Lester Schuss. You draw in all your Ryatsu and fire a powerful arrow in a 100-foot long, 5-foot wide line in the direction you choose. Each creature in the line must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failure, they drop to 0 hit points. On a success, they take 10d6 force damage. So what this is from, this is basically that final attack that Uryu made when he was battling Mairi for the first time. That big freaking arrow that he did, I wanted to mimic that, so that's basically where it comes from. It's pretty cool, I like it. Pretty simple though, so I wanted to make something simple. Next up is we have the Lester Stern. This one is specifically only for the melee Quincy. You draw in all your Ryatsu and create an oversized reishi version of your melee weapon. You choose one of the following options based on the damage type of your melee Heilig Bogen. Slashing. You unleash a slashing attack out from you as a 30-foot cone. Each creature in the cone is affected as if you landed a critical melee armament attack against them. Piercing. You unleash a lunging attack out from you as a 60-foot long, 5-foot wide line. Each creature in the line is affected as if you landed a critical melee armament attack against them. So a big deal when you have a lot of on-hit kind of effects. This just makes it AoE where you auto-hit all of them and you land a critical hit, which is in line with most ultimate abilities. As you can see here with these other ones, they aren't auto hits, but that's because their abilities they have are really freaking powerful. So I had to put in there that they have the ability to get some saving throws. And then ascended abilities, kind of same thing. I'm not going to go over most of these because they're basically the same. 1u1 for melees, but that's kind of it. I don't want to go too much over it because maybe I'll make a video down the road, like I said, doing the armament showcases, which I'll talk about more there. But yeah, nothing too much to go over. Next up is the final 2 minor changes. So we're gonna quickly go over them. Relentless. On here, it's basically at the very end where it says for each 4 hit die above 2 a hit die, the damage increases by 2, which is the correct wording it should have been. I don't know how I missed it so long that it was wrong. Before it said the damage taken was reduced by 2, minimum 10, but it's already starts at 10. So the whole point of it was it's supposed to increase to 12, then 14 to 16. So when you're getting to the later levels, taking fatter damage, getting reduced down possibly to 0, this ability can trigger instead of 10. So yeah, that got changed. Hopefully that makes more sense. Yeah, that's the one change I was able to fit in during the midst of all this Quincy updates, but very minor. I just wanted to go over it because I know there's a lot of hollow players out there that might have this ability. So just to let you guys know. Okay, and the final update is going to be the Fullbringer Manfestation. At level 1, they just get some of their stuff at level 1 then instead of getting them all at level 3. So if I go down to, let's see, let me just go down one of them. Okay, like Assassin, for example. Roguish Talent, they used to be level 3. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I locked it at level 3, so I just moved it to level 1, and that's going to be the same for all the other subclasses for the Fullbringer. And like I said, in line with all the same kind of scaling I'm going to be doing with the rest of the classes, which I believe now it's just the bounce that I need to change. But yeah, that's basically it. Nothing too different. For whoever was, I'm sure I'm gonna get some upset comments of like, why wasn't this update before I started playing it? It was really tough at level 1 and 2 as a Fullbringer because I didn't have access to this. I might get some of those. My bad. But it's fixed now, so hopefully, moving forward, with anybody new that jumps in, it's a little bit better and doesn't feel as bad, and you have access to more different stuff early on and not be completely useless until level 3. But yeah, that's kind of it there. Let's see what I have next. There is something I did add to the Shrift that I wanted to go over that I mentioned on the Discord. So if we go over to Schrifts, we have a new section called Custom Schrifts and Canon Schrifts. So all the Canon Schrifts is what you see in the show, the antithesis, the balance, all that stuff. Obviously, I have to make A the Almighty. I had it somewhere, and that's another one I forgot to put it. So that's gonna have to be wait to the hotfix. So that's another one I forgot to add. But anyways, Custom Schrifts. With the assistance of your GM, you can create a custom shrift. To do so, follow these steps. Choose an armament type except for Hollow or Heilig Pfeil. You gain a number of armament abilities dictated by your GM for your shrift. For your shrift, if an armament ability has 2 augments, it counts as an additional unique ability for meeting prerequisites to gain a new armament ability. You gain additional armament abilities dictated by your GM. 3. Choose a letter/name not yet chosen that best fits your shrift. So for example, if you have like, let's go to acid for example. If you have acid armor and acid form, you only have 2 armament abilities. So if you want to pick up like, let's go down to one that's 3, what's it called? Right here, like acid rain, you can't because you need 3 abilities before you can pick it up. However, if you have acid armor, 2 augments for it, and acid form, because you have 2 augments for acid form, it now counts as 1. This does not mean if you have 4, this counts as 2. It only counts it an additional time once. So it just says only if you have 2 of them does it count as additional one, not for each 2 augments. It counts as an additional one. So it's only if you have 2. So even if you have 4, it's only going to count as 1 additional one. So if you have acid armor, 2 augments, and acid form, it now counts as 3 abilities, and you can pick up acid rain. Just to help out when crafting shifts, because it's not like you have a bunch of armament abilities to kind of go through this normal tree how you normally would when it comes to other stuff. So I have that. It's a quick and dirty kind of solution for now if people don't want to pick up any of the canon Schrifts and to really allow access to the other armament abilities. So yeah, I just wanted to let people know about that, added that in. That might get updated and changed a little bit more, but this is kind of just an early beta version of like creating custom Schrifts. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about it, how this can be made more stronger, because it will be updated later on, and I'm just gonna leave this there for now. All right, everybody, that's gonna be it for all the updates for the December update. Let me know what you guys think about them. Let me know how many of them you like, what you're excited for, that's all right. So I updated the roadmap, made it a little bit more clear. So I know on the Shrift update, it was supposed to be a Shrift update as well, but unfortunately I couldn't fit that in. I was just, Quincy class just took way too much time, more so than I thought. Same thing with the Arrancar was supposed to be part of this update as well. However, I couldn't get to that as well. So the roadmap kind of got updated a little bit. So if you go over there, it's at the top of the FAQ channel. You'll see the new updated stuff. So what should be next is the Shrift update and then the Hollow and Arrancar update. Now, I'm not gonna, I know still a lot of people are asking me about more feats and boons. That is on the roadmap. It's after Shrift update, then the Hollow Arrancar update, then the new feats and boons. So that is on there. Stuff that's gonna be added. If you ever have questions, what's getting added to the book, what I'm working on, it's gonna be on there in the FAQ, especially with any other frequently asked questions. Feel free to go over there first before you let me know or ask me when something is getting done or when something is happening. But yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to get all those done. I know before too, also with the oppression and summon armament rework, I believe Hollow was part of that. But I mean, if I'm doing a Arrancar, I might as well do the Hollow as a whole as well. So they're going to be changed alongside all at once. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. Thank you guys so much for keeping up with this book, for using it, for having a great time. Like I said, I'm always willing to hear it. I'm sure other people too would love to hear it. some crazy stuff happening in your campaigns, feel free to post them in the Discord, in the comments below. Any crazy times where you maybe got into a 1v1 with the opponent and your armaments completely countered them and, you know, have decimated them, or the other way around. I love to hear about it. Some nuanced ways that you guys use your abilities. I definitely want to hear them. Let me know about all of your experiences with the book. I'd love to hear it. But yep, that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys on the next update. Good night.